Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk about my brand new playthrough that I started for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but specifically running on the Switch 2. What are my thoughts on it? Has it improved the game that much? If you gave up on the game in the past, should you maybe even almost pick up a Switch 2, just specifically if you're really in the Pokemon to play this game on a Switch 2? Well, I wouldn't maybe go that far, but I will say that I have been having an absolute blast, and I am way more impressed than I expected to be with this game running on the Switch 2. Now, originally in my Switch 1 playthrough running on the original hardware, I actually stopped playing the game because I was just so disgusted by the performance of it. The game struggled to even hit 30 frames a second, and some of the game's most beautiful environments were really hindered by, usually running between 15 to 20 frames a second and stuttering, and it just looks so bad that I quit the game pretty early on, right after the third gym, and I never went back. That's why the Switch 2 version, when it got the upgrade, where not only does the game just look generally better with, upscaled resolution and also usually running at a rock solid 60 frames per second, I had to jump in and give it another shot. And this has to be one of my favorite playthroughs of a game that I've given a second chance to, like almost of all time. It's night and day between my first-hand experience when it first came out and now. The game looks stunning at 60 frames a second. And yes, I understand that the game can at times look like it's almost an N64 game in terms of textures or maybe a PS2 game or something. Yeah, sometimes the textures are not really that nice, but the game's attention to the environments themselves in terms of the view distance, being able to see way off into the distance and see the mountains and the Poke Centers that are like half a mile off, way off in the distance, just looks pretty stunning at times. And I have been loving just running through the environments, picking up items, hunting for Pokemon with a catch, but I'll get to that in a second. That has made my playthrough so special. Now, the catch that I'm talking about is that when I sat down to play this game, I am streaming it, so I wanted to create a bit of a, just go beyond me oohing and ahhing over the 60 frames a second. I wanted to do something a little bit more special for my playthrough because people would be watching me play through the game. And I decided early on, I said to myself, okay, if I can manage to catch one or two shinies early on in the game, I will do a shiny only playthrough. So for those that are a little unfamiliar with shinies or Pokemon in general, essentially there is a very, very, very rare chance that a Pokemon will spawn in the game as an alternate color. It doesn't affect their stats, doesn't affect anything. It just gives them a different color. And very early on in the game, I just stumbled upon a shiny Hoppip, which really shocked me because I'm like, uh-oh, this is way sooner than I was supposed to find something like this because the odds are 1 in 4,096. Those are the base odds. There are ways that you can make this a little bit easier to find them and make your odds more in your favor, but I actually decided to do a playthrough with full odds. So every time a Pokemon spawns in the game, there's only a 1 in nearly 4,100 chance to actually have it spawn as a shiny. So I found the Hoppip and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll roll with this. Maybe I'll do shiny only for my team. And then not too long after that, right after I got done talking about how awesome it would be to have a shiny Psyduck, because instead of him being yellow, he's like a light blue, I just randomly happened upon a shiny Psyduck, which looks amazing, by the way. And Golduck is also one of my favorite Pokemon. So I'm like, okay, at that moment, I decided I'm going to do a playthrough of this game where I only allow myself to go through the game with shiny Pokemon. With a little caveat there, I did allow myself to use my starter up until I got a full team of shinies, which didn't take very long because in my first day of playing the game, the first 6 hours or so, I actually found 5 shiny Pokemon. So after the Hoppip and the Psyduck, I decided, okay, it's time to go shiny hunting. And to do full odds shiny hunting, it essentially just means running around and using your little motorcycle Pokemon to just keep driving around until you see a different colored Pokemon. You have to be very observant because there's no sound effect, there's no visual effect that tells you it's a shiny other than you being very observant. And I was driving around this one area which had a lot of cool Pokemon in it, including Ghastly and Drowsy and various other Pokemon. And I stumbled upon a pink Drowsy after about an hour and a half of just driving around. And the feeling that you get when you find a shiny Pokemon, especially at full odds, and one that you really like, especially a Gen 1 Pokemon that I love, was so awesome. And at that moment, I was hooked. I couldn't contain my excitement for a shiny only playthrough anymore, so I started going around fighting trainers, leveling them up a bit. I took down the first couple of gyms, and I knew I didn't quite have what I needed yet for the third gym to fight Iono, so I did have to come back the next day to do that. But in the first stream, I also just randomly happened upon a shiny Litleo. which was kind of cool. He's sort of like a pinkish color as opposed to his normal darker, like blackish brown. And then I found one that I wasn't too excited about. I was kind of hunting for other Pokemon on this beach, but I randomly drove into a shiny Squawkabilly, which his shiny color is just like the feathers on his head are kind of just a different color. So nothing too crazy. I wanted to replace him as soon as possible. And yeah, that was my first day of shiny hunting. And for those of you that are interested in kind of following my journey as well, I do stream my playthrough of this on both Twitch and Kick, and I am in the process of also uploading the playthrough to YouTube to my VOD channel. I'll have links to all of those in the description below for those of you that want to follow along with the journey. But we're not done, because the second day, I, kept driving around, and I want to say I love going around and just checking out these environments in 60 frames. The game looks fantastic. The grass blowing in the wind, the sun setting in the background. It just looks so good, and it's so relaxing just driving around. And this whole like shiny dynamic really adds a new kind of flair to the playthrough, because it really makes me appreciate each and every Pokemon that I add to my team. One of the reasons I wanted to do the shiny only playthrough is that one of the things I struggle with in Pokemon games is that I tend to have a hard time deciding on a team. There's like over 1,000 Pokemon now, so it's really hard for me to like kind of settle down and pick a team of 6 and go through the game, because I'm always finding new ones that I want to add, and then it's like, but I don't want to get rid of these Pokemon because I put so much work into leveling them. So shiny only playthrough really makes me appreciate each and every Pokemon I get. It's like they're really part of the team, because you're kind of using these Pokemon for a huge majority of the game, teaching them the moves that you want them to learn. And it's kind of a fun challenge, right? Because who would ever think that I'd be currently forced to go through the game with a very pre-selected group of Pokemon? So it's sort of like almost a randomized playthrough determined by your shiny luck. And yeah, it's just been an absolute blast. And the next day, I spent a few hours hunting in this desert area, just driving in circles for like 3 hours over and over and over. There were really a lot of cool Pokemon that spawned there. I was really going for Qfant, which is like a cute little elephant Pokemon. But after a long time, I stumbled upon a shiny Voltorb, which is a blue Voltorb, which looks awesome. Added into my team, evolved him into an Electrode, and then the following day I went back because I really wanted that Qfant. And under an hour, I found a shiny Qfant, which is a really awesome Steel type elephant Pokemon. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, the adrenaline rush that when you find one of these shinies, because the odds are just so low, especially getting one for a Pokemon that you want, just really makes it feel so rewarding. But I just wanted to kind of gush a little bit about this game's performance on the Switch 2. Really blew me away, and it makes me really excited for going forward, the Switch 1 games, more of them receiving Switch 2 updates. It's actually the reason I'm holding off on playing a lot of games that maybe don't currently run at 60 frames, because Xenoblade Chronicles X, I've been wanting to really play the definitive edition on Switch, but there's a hidden 60 frame patch on the, like, it's in the game, but they haven't unlocked it yet. So I'm really waiting for them to unlock that before I pop that game into my Switch 2, because I would love to see that game at 60 frames a second. And while these games, obviously Xenoblade looks, that game could pass obviously as a very current generation game running on like maybe even the PS5 to some degree. It looks great. Pokemon obviously doesn't look like a current generation game. It has a lot of issues visually, but I am the type of person where I really see the difference between 30 frames a second and 60 frames a second. And seeing a game that looks to be the equivalent of like a PS3, PS2 sort of game in terms of like where it would be visually at times as you're playing it, running in 60 frames makes a huge difference. And I just wanted to kind of gush about my playthrough of this, because I've been loving it. I haven't had this much fun with a Pokemon game since my childhood, with like the original red, blue, gold, and silver versions. And I truly mean it. It's been so much fun. And this game has if you've never played it yet, it has a really great sense of discoverability. There's tons of items everywhere, so you're always rewarded for exploring. And when I'm, running around, normally you'd be running around and catching Pokemon, but I'm running around and just finding a bunch of items and keeping my eyes honed in on trying to just notice that one Pokemon that has an off color to add it to my team, and hopefully it's a really good one. But as of right now, I'm about to fight the 5th gym. There's 8 gyms in Pokemon games, so I'm about 17, 18 hours into the game at the moment, and I would imagine I have quite a bit more to go, because, well, I'm assuming the end of the game is not going to exactly be all that easy with the current team that I have, which is certainly going to be a challenge, so hopefully I find some more shinies to go along with it. But I wanted this video to be a bit of a PSA for those of you that are on the fence about upgrading to a Switch 2. Is it really worth it? For me, seeing games like Pokemon running like this are a yet another reason to think about upgrading to a Switch 2. Or if you avoided Pokemon, or if you were like me and you played it a little bit and you never went all the way to the end, I think this version of Pokemon running on the Switch 2 is absolutely a reason to either buy the game again or buy it for the first time and give it a second chance. And if you go for my challenge, let me know. Let me know how you do. Try doing a full odd shiny only playthrough. That means I'm not using camps, I'm not using sandwiches, I'm not doing outbreaks. I'm literally just driving around the game and looking for Pokemon at the full odds. And so far, I've been really lucky with it. Others, not so much. But I've heard a lot of feedback. A lot of people have been saying they started playing the game because they've been watching me play it on stream. So that's been really, really awesome. But anyway, I wanted to talk about Pokemon in its own kind of video because I'm just so in love with this playthrough right now. But I don't want to go on too much. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you playing it yourself? What do you think about it? I'm very, very happy. So anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next video, and thank you for watching.